At no time did I suggest that violence is justice, and I can't believe I even have to explain that. But the alternative is letting someone like Keighley McEnany misquote and manipulate what you say. McEnany, who repeatedly lies to the American people.
The president never downplayed the virus.
A lie. Not only has President Trump downplayed it in public, saying that it'll soon be over, that virtually nobody young suffers from the virus, told Americans it was like the flu when he said privately it was a killer. I could go on. But if you don't want to take my word for it, here's the president admitting it, who told journalist Bob Woodward this in February.
I wanted to always play it down. I still like playing it down.
Yes, sir.
Because I don't want to create a panic.
McEnany also lies about lying.
The president has never lied to the American public on COVID.
It's well documented the president lies about many things on a daily basis, and coronavirus has been the focus of many this year. Also this week, on the day that America saw its 200,000th death from the virus, McEnany said this.
On the 200,000 deaths, will the president recognize that publicly?
The president throughout this pandemic has done just that. He has said before that it keeps him up at night thinking of even one life lost. This president has taken this incredibly seriously.
Why haven't you said anything about the U.S. hitting 200,000 deaths?
Go ahead. Anybody else?
And in fact, on that same day, he tweeted 23 times, none of them addressing the victims, their families, or survivors of this virus.
I will never lie to you. You have my word on that.
Finally, it's actually Keighley McEnany's boss who is the one repeatedly encouraging violence, including just this week when he praised violence against journalists.
They were grabbing them left and right. Sometimes they grab one guy. I'm a reporter. Get out of here. They threw him aside like he was a little bag of popcorn. But I mean, honestly, when you watch the crap.
That was an absolute verbal smackdown from CNN's Brianna Keilar talking about Keighley McEnany, the White House press secretary, who basically accused her, among other people, but specifically her, of encouraging, wanton acts of destruction, throughout the United States, suggesting that, CNN journalists like her are encouraging people to go out and destroy. And of course, that's not a fair, interpretation of what she said. She was simply suggesting that many of the people out in protest are seeking justice and are fighting back against injustice. Of course, that doesn't mean she's condoning any particular act of aggression. But what she does here is effectively demonstrate how if anyone's causing harm and anyone's spreading disinformation, it's Keighley McEnany and her boss, Donald Trump. Whether it's on the coronavirus, or whether it's on what's happening in the streets, or whether it's on journalists, what you're seeing from this White House is a systematic attempt to lie to you each and every day, to basically say that white is black, up is down, 2 + 2 = 5, and they hope they can get away with it. So they say Donald Trump never downplayed the severity of this crisis, when, in private tapes with Bob Woodward, he said exactly that. He acknowledged he was downplaying it. In public, he basically calls it a hoax or says it's not a big deal. In private, he acknowledges it's super dangerous, even for relatively healthy people. He says all this. He knows this. Donald Trump will whine and whine and whine about how the media is against him, and then gloat about how journalists like Ali Velshi have been treated while they're peacefully trying to cover key events that are happening in the streets of the United States of America. It's even happening to conservative journalists. I mean, Daily Caller reporters got arrested a couple nights ago, last night, the night before, and that's not right either. Even they have a right to cover protests. So it's not even just the journalists that Trump likes or doesn't like that are getting treated poorly. It's a systematic encroachment on press freedom we're seeing from the police, and Donald Trump is cheering it on like he's watching a movie and the journalists are the bad guys, right? This is showing us that Keighley McEnany is playing a very ugly role. And look, every White House press secretary, every single one, as part of their job, has to massage the truth. The president has a narrative to put forward, and the media, whether it's a Republican or a Democratic president, has to try to get to the truth, and often the truth disagrees with the narrative of the president. And so the White House has to try to massage the narrative to be somewhat truthful. And occasionally they'll lie. I'm sure that Obama and Bill Clinton and George Bush Sr. and every modern press secretary has told at least a few whoppers now and then. But there is nothing so systematic as what we've been seeing from Keighley McEnany. She is a mouthpiece for fundamental systematic disinformation. She's not just telling the occasional lie. She lies as the default. And I'm glad that journalists are calling it out, because for a long time, there would always be this impulse for journalists to never call liars liars. They would always try to keep this veil of neutrality, right? Where it's like, on the one side, you have somebody telling awful lies, and on the other side, you might have the actual true opinion, but neutrality dictates that we can't actually tell that true story. Neutrality and being unbiased means we got to be right down the middle and sort of try to arbitrate between total truth and total fiction on this particular issue. And it's good to see journalists come out and say, no, this administration, the president himself and his key spokeswoman, Keighley McEnany, are lying to you. And they're lying about journalists. They're lying about the major social and political and medical crises facing this country. And they are going to try and do it for as long as they can. This is great to see. Whether it's this or whether it was the Chris Wallace interview or whether it was the Jonathan Swan interview, when journalists actually press this administration with questions and actually examine their words, they cannot stand. They cannot stand up to the least bit of scrutiny. It's good to see more and more people realize that.